Hey everybody, Coach Matthew here with episode number 7 of the Mountaineer MIGHTcast. On this upcoming episode, I'm going to break down last week's game. We only had one for our minis team, but we've had 3 practices. We had a Monday, a Tuesday, and a Thursday night practice. I'm going to give you those details. I'm going to break down what I see happening this upcoming week, and where we're going to go as we hit the mid-run of this season. Stay tuned. So just like I mentioned in that introduction, it is episode number 7 here of the Mountaineer MIGHTcast. Once again, I thank everybody for tuning in as we continue to grow this. We are getting close to the midpoint of this season, so continue to stick with us because I believe we are going to have some really good content continue to come out on these MIGHTcasts that we have. But let's go ahead and break this last week down and tell you what I am looking at this upcoming week. So we're going to start out with the Monday practice. I mentioned previously that our spring break was the week before. So going into this week, we should have had our players back, which we were able to. My minis team was at its full strength, but the juniors did not play, so I don't even have to spend much time on the juniors game. So let's just go ahead and hit that practice. The Monday practice I thought went actually pretty well. Came in there with a little bit of a different style this time from what we've previously been doing. I talked about it in some of the other ones that I wanted to continue to try to make practice fun at this point. The new girls who are now getting used to practicing and playing more often, sometimes, and even the older girls, the drills seem to kind of get a little bit dull and boring sometimes. And I've mentioned it in other ones, just like any other sport, you got to continue to build upon the fundamentals. And I know just doing the same stuff every single practice, even though they do need to get better at those skills, can be a little bit tedious and boring to the girls. And you see that their attention tends to drop. So I wanted to change it up a little bit. We hit a pretty quick warm up for the Monday practice. Then we got right into a lot of movement with our passing drills, which usually I like to add a little bit, but this time I really had the girls going and chasing down balls in different spots of the court because I still believe defensively that is the one issue, is really figuring out whose ball it is and getting to the spot that if the ball's not hit directly to you, how do we get to those spots, and then making sure that the girls run without their hands together. If you've watched some of the games, or if you're a parent who's attending them, you can see quite a bit where the girls will be thinking about so many things with making that platform that they often find themselves running with the platform and they're just a second or two slow to get that ball. So I want to try to enforce that the girls have to run first. Once they get there, then they can make that platform. Because if you're trying to run without your arms, I call it the on the toilet run, or your pants around your ankles kind of run. That's kind of what it looks like. It's a little silly when your arms aren't pumping and you're running like that. So we want to try to enforce get to this position first, which all the girls are fast enough to get to the position. Then it's make that platform. And we don't want to be making the platform as we get to that position necessarily, because a lot of times they'll find themselves, if say the ball is over to this side, if they're running and they're trying to make it at the same time and they create that, I'm going to shorten it up so you can see it, and they create that platform, chances are good by the swing and the momentum of their arms when they hit that ball, it's going to go into a different position than we want it to. So we want to focus on them getting there, then making that platform versus kind of taking those clock arms and swinging for it. So a lot of Monday's practice involved around that, making sure that the girls could get to the different spots. Now, when they are on the court, I don't necessarily want them covering that much distance. I still, and I'll talk about a little bit in the juniors game, but I still want to see the girls having a good idea of where their zone is and how to play those zones. I don't need the girl who's in the serving spot up at zone 1 trying to get all the way up to the front of the net and focus on zone 4. She needs to hold her ground at her position based on the game that we have, because ultimately she runs all the way across the court, hits the ball, say it just goes right back to the middle, they hit it back where she's supposed to be, and nobody's covering. Now, as they get older, yes, they have a little bit different assignments when you have a setter and there's hitters in very specific positions, but at this age, we really don't want them to get out of rotation too much. We do want them to track the ball and focus on getting into the right spots and not doing the whole thing where the ball hits the ground between two girls. They both look at each other, then they both look at me, and they can't figure out whose ball it is. So we did a lot of movement with their passing drills, and I actually thought it went very, very well. Then we ended up doing a little bit of a scrimmage, and I felt that the juniors having the time off, and they needed a little bit of something, a little bit more live action. And the minis, I was pretty impressed with where they were at. We were able to get Braylon back from being gone from the previous week. She was our one player who was missing. So we got her back. So I did have the kids scrimmage against each other, and I actually let them serve. Overall, I thought it was a pretty back and forth practice. There was good plays on both sides. I mean, the minis, I got to give them credit because they don't back down against the junior team. Now, the juniors still could be taking it a little bit lighter on them. I don't necessarily make the minis have to go for 3 hits. I would like them to play as a team, but sometimes the server's just so good. The only chance that they really have right now is putting it back over. Again, more experience as they grow, that'll probably change, but for now, a lot of times they'll just try to send the ball back on the serve. The juniors, I do try to reinforce that I want them playing team ball. I don't want them just hitting it right back over on the minis right away. Let's try to build up the teamwork. And overall, I thought it was a pretty decent exchange between the two teams. I know I give the juniors a hard time and tell them that the minis beat them. Given the scenario of what was going on, the minis did pretty well. And that's not to take anything away from the juniors. That's just to say they're still learning how to play together, because when they practice, I don't have them actually stay in what their game formation would be and their rotation for that. I let them kind of mix and mingle between the girls. So you're not always going to be playing next to somebody that you're used to. And I want to see people going after the ball and trying to work as a team. Again, minis, sometimes they do. They actually do have a pretty good knack on the mini team of the serve receive individual. Usually it's going to be the back middle. Has some times where they pop that ball up and then you have a player on the front hit it. So they're not always just sending it back over from that. They have gotten a lot better with being able to work as a team. And I definitely think on net, that minis team is pretty good right on the net. They tend to struggle a little bit with some of the balls a little bit deeper, and then girls trying to have to track back. But I feel pretty good with where they're at on their net defense, which has ultimately led to a pretty good record. So for the juniors overall, focusing on that, I thought the minis had a little bit of a better practice than the juniors did, but still, again, given the scenario of where everything was at, I thought it went pretty well. We're going to go ahead, skip off after the Monday practice. We're going to go to the Tuesday. So once again, for the Tuesday night, I invited the junior girls to go to Hagerstown to practice. There was another girl who took us up on that, and so we ended up having we had 2 girls who joined. One who was going to be there, but she's been out, but she's there now. So we actually had 6 girls, so about half of the juniors team was able to come to Hagerstown on Tuesday night. We have a open gym for about 2 hours over there that we work on stuff, but again, I try to keep that one more fun. I don't necessarily really overcoach that one. We'll work on some drills and stuff, but for the most part, I want the girls to laugh and have a good time. Monday, there's so much to cover in that practice. It might kind of feel like I'm yelling at them to kind of get them to engage. Plus, there's 20 girls in there, and it's bad enough with maybe 3 or 4, but you get 20 of them, and some really, really focus. Some have a little bit tougher time focusing. So the nice thing with having that Tuesday practice, we can slow it down. They can have a little bit more fun, and that's for the juniors only. To be able to do that for those who are able to take advantage of that. I do believe the players who have come, I've seen a significant improvement with just more advanced skills, but I would also say on top of that, they tend to play the game better on Wednesday. Now, they didn't have a game this week, but after that kind of fun, light practice, they seem to do better come Wednesday. So we're going to continue to try to do that. So long as they're running open gyms in Hagerstown, my team's going to try to be there and continuing to work. For any of the girls who can get there, that's great. It's not a mandatory practice. It's just open for the junior girls who want to get a little bit more work in. But again, I've mentioned on the other ones, it's 30 minutes from my house, and I actually live a little bit closer towards getting on 81 and getting up to Hagerstown. So it could be quite a bit of a drive for the other family. So I totally understand it, and I have nothing against anybody who can't get there, and I don't expect all the players to get there. So wanted to mention that. We had a good Tuesday night. Then we get to the game on Wednesday. So most of the meat of this MIGHTcast is going to go into this one. I promise you today, I'm going to be under an hour. I don't think this one's really going to take super long. We're going to see once we get going, but without the juniors game, I should be able to speed through this, but I do want to cover the minis game a little bit more in depth for what I saw. So we had the 5:30 game on Wednesday for the minis. All the players were there, so that was good to have all the girls. We did have 4 or 5 of the juniors come to support them, which I appreciate that. I mean, obviously, 2 of them are my daughters, then we have another coach's daughter who was there. And again, I understand it. I don't necessarily want the families having to have volleyball every single day during the week, but for the parents who want to come support the minis, I appreciate it. I know the families of the minis appreciate it. Usually during the week, some of the minis players will stick around for the juniors games. The juniors girls will come early and watch the minis. It's not just about making 2 separate teams. I want to build up a program where they can help each other out. And they do genuinely help each other out. It's not just beneficial for the minis, it is beneficial to the juniors as well. So we were able to get into that game, get the girls going. A couple of things about this game really quick. One of the players on this former team has been on my team for 3 seasons now. So it was good to see her again, and I knew that she would raise the level of competition for this game, and I know what she's capable of. She's right on the brink of the age to be in the juniors, so I know for her she didn't necessarily want to play in the minis league, but I told her early on, be the best player in the league. Really try to be the player on your team that is the rock, that you are the leader for that team. That way when you step in the juniors, it's only going to help you long term. And so going against her, I knew it was going to be a tough game. Her family and her, she knows how we play. I know how she plays, and it was kind of a little bit of a chess match there. I knew who kind of I wanted to play against her, ultimately to bring the best out of her, and that's better for both teams. I've said it. I'll continue to say it. I want the best out of both teams that play, the best out of my team, as well as the best out of the other team. It's not fun when you can just serve all over on another team. Is it fun to win? Yes, and I'm going to kind of get back to that a little bit here in the end. But at the same time, too, you're not necessarily improving if girls just come up, get their 6 in a row, and then you rotate through the whole lineup. And at this age, it's not just about my team. I want to see the sport continue to grow, and any team that's getting completely blown out, it's not fun for. So we get into that game. The very first set, the girls came out, and I don't want to say they looked bad. They didn't look like themselves. There was very, very low energy, a lot of serves into the net, and they didn't seem like they were ready to go. Now, out of the 2 teams, my minis, I haven't found that issue yet. Usually they start the game pretty strong. It's the juniors who start a little bit slower, but by about 10 points in, they're starting to pick up quite a bit, especially with the juniors with the first game. I mean, they jumped right on the other team. So not necessarily that one, but having to come back against the black team, getting up on the white, and then to kind of battle back. The minis have not been like that. I mean, most of the games, the good servers have come up, and they've done what they needed to. But in the first set, they struggled pretty bad. And we ended up dropping that first set. And I haven't gone back and watched. I know I've said I will. And I will. I've got a lot going on, but it has gotten better. And yeah, I just think lack of energy, they just didn't seem ready to go. And I think they realized really quickly that this other team, despite their record, is actually a pretty good team. Overall though, a lot of it was forced errors. I will give the other team credit because they did have some good plays, but you're beating yourself when you serve the ball into the net. That's not anything that the other team is doing. It is on you. I will say that before the game, I only have 8 girls in that minis team. The other ones I believe have 9, 10, maybe even 11. So some of them might have a little bit more on the girls overall. And my teams are always undersized. Now, part of the reason my teams are undersized is because we're playing in levels above the juniors, especially. About half those girls are not old enough to even be in that division. Skill-wise, they're there. Age-wise, not necessarily. The minis, I just have a smaller team. And so that kind of threw them off. They're looking over at the other side, and this team's really big. They're really big. And again, your mind plays so much into it. Like I said, okay, they're bigger than you, but you can be faster than them. at this age, the size thing doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a lot of small girls who are amazing, and there's a lot of girls who are a little bit bigger who just aren't there yet. So size isn't necessarily the big thing at this age. And they're not blocking, and they're not really jumping up to do much of anything at this point. So the size is negated. It's about effort and it's about technique that go into it. They didn't have the effort. And I think just getting down on the serves in the beginning and the other team coming up and that former player of ours serving really well, I think affected them. So that one was tough. The end of the game was a little bit weird, at least the end of the first set. So, and I know I talked about the referees last time. I am going to bring it up this time, but it has no bearing on the outcome of the game. So in the very first set of the first game, there was an issue with the scoreboard where they went from, they should have went from 23 points to 24. Now the other team is going to be serving. And instead, the scoreboard ended up bumping up to 26. So it jumped up. The ref did not blow the whistle, and the play just went. And as they were adjusting the scoreboard, the other team scored. Now, it made no bearing difference on the game overall, because even if she wouldn't have gotten the serve, I think we might have been down by 8 to 12 points. It was a good number. Could we have had the players come up? Sure. Anything can happen if given the chance. But based on the way they had played that first set, I didn't see it happening. And overall, I did not like that. Again, it will come up in this other part of this because I do need to address it. But I just didn't like the way it played out because the whistle never blew. They just decided to end the game anyway, which I didn't like. It should have been a redo of a point, but the referee got down, the score table was having issues, and it was just wonky. So there's no point really. This is not the time I'm going to argue a point. Again, I talked about it in the previous one. If it's that bad, yes, I will. But this wasn't going to happen. And honestly, I don't want this to sound bad, but they deserved to lose the way they played with the energy in that very first set. So it is what it is. The girls were kind of confused at the way they ended because they weren't even really ready because the whistle hadn't blown. They was kind of thrown off, so whatever. All right, so we get to that second set. And with my minis team, for every game, 2 players need to sit out. And I try to rotate to where every girl should get 3 sets in. So we had to take 2 of the girls out. We bring 2 more in, and set 2, I believe the other team really tended to stack set number 1, not so much set 2. I've still got pretty good players. We handled set 2 pretty well. So we won the second set, didn't really have any problems with that. So that right there, we're back in it. Especially after you get, and again, the minis have lost a set. They haven't tied a game, they haven't lost a game all season. So mentally, they're so used to winning that the other side of stuff is a little bit odd for them. And I believe up to this point, we hadn't lost a first set. We've had some close ones, but we hadn't lost one. So they dropped the first set. They battled back really, really good in the second. And we ended up taking the third one pretty well. Again, the girls were just doing, the other team was having to sub. They were having to find themselves in that game. Then we get to the fourth set. And this is where I'm going to spend a little bit of time on to talk about this. So we end up, once again in this league, it's going to come down to the fourth set. Now we have, this is the juniors more, this tournament, I cannot wait because winning the first 2 out of 3 in the tournament, you win it. And there's no fourth set. So basically, we'd have won. We're moving on. That's the same thing with the juniors right now. They're dropping. They've already got the tie, and then they're losing that very last set. But whatever. So I get to the point with the minis, and I asked the team, because I do want them to learn this as well. I asked them, do we want to play for the tie, which we have already gotten? So we're going to tie no matter what. But again, we want to win. Or do we want to go for the win? Well, every single girl, we want to win, coach. We want to go for the win, coach. And I said, okay, if you want to win, I have to bring back in 2 of the more skilled players, which means 2 of the girls will need to sit on the bench. Now, that's not necessarily saying that we were going to win that for sure if those two girls played. And I'm not blaming any of the girls. I just want to state that. But you have to look at the players who give you a better chance to win. That's what I was looking at. And I told them that. I said, okay, if we're going to do this, these 4 girls are performing the best out of anybody. The other ones, they're struggling a little bit. Who, out of the 4 of these girls who are struggling a little bit, who is willing to be unselfish and sit out for a better chance to win? Not a single girl would do it. And I know I like the confidence in it, but you need to be a little realistic. Now, if our season was on the line and it really meant that, I'm putting in the better girls, because in the long term, if the other ones lose, your season's over. But if we win, you will still get more games out of it. You may not like necessarily that you had to sit down, but long term, you're going to get more experience. And I knew this was going to happen. And I reinforced again, I said, are you sure? Because these are the players who are going to give us the best chance, and I'm going to have to sit them out for this 4 set. None of the girls were willing to do it. So I knew exactly what would happen going into that 4 set. If you watch the live feed, part of it is, if you were there, my camera was in the corner by a bunch of other players. So I really couldn't get to my camera very well in that last one, but I also knew it was going to be a rush. So I ended the feed very, very quickly. And out of all the sets, I was talking quite a bit, except the very last one, because again, I knew what was going to happen going into it. The girls who were struggling, even if they had 2 other girls who usually play pretty good with them, they weren't going to pull that out, because that first group from that other team came back in, and they were just outmatched by experience and by skill. And you saw that in the score. I believe it was like 25-6. It was bad, but they needed to learn the lesson. And that was my mentality. It's like, you're about to feel what this is like. You're not going to lose, but it's going to feel like a loss. And this one's going to sting. And it did. It did. And again, I always will talk about, it's not about winning. I want volleyball to be fun. But when you lose, and you lose quite a bit, and believe me, I know because we've been there, it's not fun. It's for most girls, even at this age, once they know the feeling of the two, they will sit and try to put somebody better in to win long term. And that is usually the teams don't have a lot of selfishness. And I don't want to say the girls were being selfish in the scenario. They just weren't, they don't know the experience and the feeling of losing, or even that tie feeling yet. They were going to learn it. And they learned it pretty bad in that last one. And once again, and I've talked about it on the other ones, when you lose the last set in a tie, you feel like you lost. The other team is excited because they tied it up. It didn't feel like that. The girls came in, they had their heads down, a couple of them looked like they were going to have tears in their eyes. And just really quickly, I said, hey, this is a lesson to learn from here. We'll talk about it more in practice tomorrow. Just try to relax. You tied, it happens. My really, really good team last year, similar kind of incident, except it was a personal thing with something else that led to a really, really weird game and part of the season. Whatever. Just not a good feeling. So I knew it was going to happen, but again, because I care so much, I was bummed about it all night. I was like, all right, I can't wait to get to practice Thursday, because I do want to address this. And this is a learning time for the juniors as well, because there may be a time, whether it's through Parks and Rec or you get into school, there may be a time where there's just somebody better than you at that given point in time, or skill, or sport, or whatever. Some people are just better. And sometimes for the greater good, you have to learn to sit out long term and just let somebody else come in and do what they need to. Let it drive you. Let it motivate you to be the player that when the game is on the line, who's the clutch players, who needs to be in. Let it build up your skills. Don't don't let it beat you down. Use it for motivation and just be ready when the next time comes. And I was going to bring that up to the practice on Thursday. Now, I didn't want to start with that. They already felt bad enough as it is. So we get into Thursday practice, and right off the bat, I just completely flipped the script on this practice from what we've done. They did their warm-up, we got through it quick, and then I just started doing just different drills they had never done. We're slamming balls. The girls are running around for the balls like crazy. I'm getting them to get effort, to get drive, to run, to laugh. The juniors hadn't played, so there was nothing for them to bounce back from. I'm sure they're itching to play. We got practice, Monday. It's the few who'll do Tuesday, and then boom, we're right back Wednesday. The minis, though, I had to shake off the previous one. So for about the first 30 minutes, they're just running around laughing, having a good time. We're just doing stuff I don't even want to necessarily say it's volleyball-specific drills. It's just get them going and break away from yesterday's thing. So then I want to scrimmage a little bit, because I thought the scrimmage, surprisingly, as good as they played against the juniors on Monday, they play that way, they'll run the minis league. There's nobody going to touch them. They just didn't play like that. They had low energy. And honestly, in the game 2 and 3, I sent one of my other junior players, and I don't give my kids credit on this, but I do believe it affected the game. I sent one of the other junior players to go get my 2 daughters and the other coach's daughter and bring them back. And they come back and I'm like, hey, I need the energy from the crowd. I need what we do in practice and what your team is used to and your fans are used to. Again, I've got smaller numbers on the minis. I want it to be loud. I want it to give them before we serve, we'll do stuff like that, and just the cheer and the ACE and all that stuff. Well, I had my girls come back. I had Zoe come back with them. The fans started to get a little bit more into it. I do believe that turned the tide a lot for the minis with the environment, because it was quiet. The only people were cheering were the other fans, really. And so we kind of flipped that. So game 2 and 3, we brought the energy. We kind of kicked that back up. So once we get to the practice, I have them scrimmage again, and right away it's terrible. It's terrible on both sides. The juniors are just not doing good. The minis are not doing good. And if you were a parent sitting there, I am sorry you had to sit through that, because it was tough. It was tough to see. And it bothers me because this team both teams have everything to be really, really good and even focus on more advanced stuff. But sometimes they just take practice way too light. Now, not every girl. There's some girls who basically shut up, they focus on the drill, and they are there to get better. But that's not all girls. Now, I don't need that the entire time. I still want you to have fun and not look at this like a chore or like your job. But when there's times to focus, there's times to focus and dial it in. And if you're one of the players who's constantly messing up or not giving the effort, you need to flip that. And Parks and Rec, I got to let it go. I'm on a club or I'm a school coach, you're sitting on the bench, and that's it. You're going to learn your lesson. You need to pay attention, you need to follow along, and that's not just teaching them for volleyball, that's teaching them in life. So eventually me and Coach Josh step in to help the minis a little bit. Not that they really needed it, but I believe that because it wasn't going good for either side. I believe it just brought some more energy. Well, it kicked up the energy, which was great to see. Then it got a little bit better. Now they're starting to do a little bit more. We're rotating servers after every serve. Whether you score, you don't score, we're rotating. So more girls are getting in versus having to sit out for a few minutes while one girl runs through the rotation. Much better. We end up going to the short court game, which is our game that we're always going to play. Popped on the music, and it became pretty fun. Now, we used to do short court 3-on-3. I've gone 2-on-2 a little bit more. I didn't even make them do multiple hits this time. I just wanted them to get through and start going after that ball with the music going and working with some of the players they've never worked with before, some kind of funky combinations, but I liked it between the teams and juniors and minis. It was a fun game, and the music really helps that, because when you're just standing there waiting for 5-6 other teams to go in front of you, they don't pay attention as much. But when the music's going, they're dancing, they're having a good time, they're hitting hands, they're doing where they put their 2 hands together and people run underneath it. It's fun to see, and it's fun to see those girls having a good time out there, which then makes them play better when they get into the short court stuff. Because now they want to be the queen or king of the court and hold that position down. And I think almost every team did. Even some of the teams that you wouldn't think so, they had some good ones. Overall, great though. I like to see that. I'm going to continue to push that with the energy and the fun. They need it. You got to earn it, you do, but they need to have those practices as well. So after that, we do a serving game. The one I mentioned in the previous one, I thought it went better. There wasn't as much complaining and arguing. I really tried to put my foot down at the beginning of that, of no cheating, no problems, no whatever. A lot of girls serving, and I'm just glad nobody got hurt. And I probably said it 50 times. Do not turn your head away from the net because balls are coming left and right. And I don't know anybody who got hit. Hopefully they didn't. At least didn't tell me, or I didn't see it. Overall, though, good practice. They got through that, and I feel like we ended the week on a strong note. I did bring up my previous thing about having to sit out with both teams, and I wanted them to understand that, because the juniors will need to know that. I want to be able to rotate players, but when people are missing a bunch of practices and they're not giving me the effort, it's really hard, because I know, believe me, I know the other teams are not doing equal playing time. I know that two ways of the former, I'd say three. Three former players from my team have yet to really sit out playing us. Yet I rotate and I will continue. I don't need to do that stuff to get through this and have a good team. Could I just stack it constantly and put the more skilled players in? Yes, but I'm here to build up the whole team. Again, I want everybody to be good, not just those few players who are going to thrive. If you're in school, that's different. Parks and Rec, I'm rotating the girls, and I want to get them that. But part of it is you got to give me effort. If you're not giving me effort, you don't deserve to play, because there's other girls who will go in. I understand too. There's a lot going on this age. Whatever, I try to have a heart for it, but effort is the number one thing that I've talked about the entire time, and I can tell effort. There's times where girls are giving all the effort, the balls just aren't falling, but they're really hustling, they're trying to do it, they're talking, they're communicating, they're doing all the stuff, and you're just gonna have bad games. Everybody, not even in just this, but everybody in every sport has had bad games, but we can control our effort, we can control how we cheer and what we put into it, and so that's what I wanna see. Overall, that's going to need to change this week for the minis. They have a tough game coming up. The juniors, they need to continue on the momentum that they built upon by winning the other one. In the two leagues right now, based on the tie, the minis are currently in second place. So the other team, I don't believe, has tied. They might not have had their stats record entered in after the game. I don't know. We are in second place for the minis. With the two ties and the one win for the juniors, we have ended up bumping into third place, but we will play the two teams that we tied again, hopefully right the wrongs on there. We have the other teams. Both these teams control their own destiny, and both teams absolutely have a chance to win this league. And, you know, for half those girls, back-to-back champs, different league, whatever, we can do it. The talent is on both the teams. Can they continue to mesh and mold and give me the effort and take it serious when the time comes? Hopefully they can continue to, and we're just gonna continue to see these teams grow as we get here to the middle, tail end, and then we hit that tournament. It's the end of April right now. You got May and the 1st of June. You got about well, I guess given this week, month and a half. You got a month and a half to continue to get better. We're trying to do everything that we can to get the girls better. Hopefully they're going to do their side of it. We'll provide all the opportunity in the world. They have to perform and get there, and not just on the court that way. They need to do it with the morale, with the mental toughness, with cheering each other on, and continue to build upon the team overall. I do want to hit this, and I kind of skipped it, but I want to come back to it. This is not my rant this time, but I do want to address something that I think is important. I would really love to talk to Parks and Rec after this season about some rule changes and implementations in the league. I do believe it is needed. We've played in multiple leagues. All the leagues are very close. I think there's just a few things in each league that should be tweaked in order to get a better experience and a higher level of play out of the girls. But one thing that came up multiple times in the minis game the other night was players serving before the whistle and then getting a redo. In that fourth game, if you tried to follow along, the other team had at least 3, if not 4, where the girls served it before the ref blew the whistle, which is what got us on the very, very first one. And all of them, the girls messed up, yet somehow they were able to get a redo and continue serving. I don't like that. I don't think you're necessarily helping the girls. You as a coach, you either tell the girls, you wait until I tell you it's okay to serve, or you give a hand signal. A lot of times, depending on where the camera's at, you can see the girls will like look sideways before they serve. They're waiting for me. Or if I'm close enough, you will hear me say, okay, go. That's a coaching thing. The girls should not be serving before the whistle. That's at any age level. Don't care. At this point, it needs to be fixed because it's the same thing in baseball. Like at this young age, if they're hitting the ball off the tee too early and then they're taking off, they get out or they run early and then something happens, they get out, and then you just let the kid come back up again. It's not right. And I know we're trying to teach them. You're not teaching them by allowing that. At the same time, too, you can completely change the momentum and flip it. You just had a bad one. Now all of a sudden you get a redo serve. I don't like it. And the Jefferson League had that on the very first serve you could get a redo. And I never liked that. Sometimes I didn't even take it. I just had us roll the ball back over to the other side of the net. Because it's like, I don't make the rules, especially the Jefferson League. If it's 11 to 15-year-olds, you shouldn't get a redo. Like, that's just how I feel about it. Even this league, even in the smaller one, maybe the first 1 or 2 games of the season, but now I don't like it. I'm not a fan of the redo. If you serve early, because you basically get warm-up reps to sit there and try your stuff before they actually blow a whistle. Not a fan of it. Do I think it affected the outcome in that last game? No, but we saw it at the end of the first game or the first set. Then you saw it in the fourth set. Didn't like it, but I also told you I'm not going to go up to the refs and start throwing a major fit about it. We got to handle our business in the first place anyway. It's just something I think should be going forward. Maybe needs to be changed. I don't know. I would love to speak with Parks and Rec at the end of the season and talk about some of this. Hopefully you can hear me and it's not too crazy. There's an airplane flying over and there's a baby up there. Both don't seem to be too happy right now. But my wife is with one. The airplane, I can't control. It'll pass in a minute. So that is something that I do believe ultimately should be addressed with the leagues going forward. Again, ultimately, let's raise the play up. And if you're a coach, you're there to coach. Tell the kids to wait for you to give the signal, and then you give the signal, and then you can go from there. Do I think it affected anything? No, but wanted to bring that one up. As I continue to close out on here, again, the merch store, it's still open, it's still available. If anybody wants to order and get stuff in, you'll probably have it within a week and a half. I do want to say thank you to one of the families, the Lake family on the minis team, for making the custom jerseys for those. A little bit different than the ones I have online, but the girls did get some pretty cool, like sparkled, jeweled up numbers on the back, which I think is cool to be able to see. We're going to continue to push that. And I may actually talk next season before we get in. If they do the jersey thing again, if they don't care, we can just get the girls the number or, the jerseys, and then we can let them put whatever number they want. Instead of having 1 through 12, I know some girls want custom numbers and some other numbers. Why not do it? If we say this is about fun and whatever, they're not going to be that serious about it. Maybe we'll do that. But I do want to thank the Lake family for providing those, getting the minis teams. A lot of them now have their custom shirts, which is really cool to see. The juniors still have it. Again, we want to pack it with purple. This upcoming week, we have 2 games. We have a Wednesday game for both teams. Then we have a Sunday game, I believe, this upcoming one. If I'm wrong, I will put it on Facebook, let y'all know. I think so. I think it's May 4th is the Sunday game. There will be Sunday games, and then a little bit later in the season, the juniors are going to play on a Wednesday and then a Thursday night. We got the 2 best teams. We got to take on team number 1 and number 2 as of right now. We beat them. We solidify ourselves number 1 going into the tournament towards the tail end. But we have the 2 games this week. Then we have the Sunday games, and I believe we're back on the Wednesday again. A lot of volleyball coming up, which is really good. For this week, though, we are doing maybe my second favorite combo. I call it the Shed Blood. It is where we mix our purple jerseys. We mix it with red accessories. Talked about it before. I am a TCU Horned Frog fan. One of my favorite looks that they do is they add red to their purple. I think it looks cool. They call it Spit Blood for the Horned Frog. I call it Shed Blood from my elk back here. So if you see us rocking purple and red this week, it is us. I know it can be kind of hard sometimes on the little cameras, but I didn't want anybody commenting and saying, well, is this team? And you know, we'll see on there. I'm going to continue to try to improve the live feed. I got a new phone, so hopefully even this turns out well. Got a brand new phone upgraded on here. Got some camera stuff coming. I may try to stream the game from my phone, which I believe would have a better camera than the tablet. We will just have to see. I do not want my new phone getting smashed on the tripod by a bad serve or something happened. I always want to provide the best quality, and I'm trying to figure out to do what I can to give you some real stuff. Eventually, I would like to get a camera that is capable of actually getting slow motion, zoomed up footage of the players. I'm working on it. I already got some of the stuff just as far as my brand and business, the Mountaineer Might stuff goes. Some really, really cool stuff in the works. I was able to buy quite a bit of equipment over the weekend, really going to bump the quality up. So you're seeing a lot of volleyball stuff now, but it's not always going to be volleyball. I still have my side in strength and conditioning that I'm going to focus on. I have some fitness stuff that's can be pretty much used for anybody. There's some good stuff there. There's programming coming out. I still have a kickboxing background. I still work with people in kickboxing. I've held off until I've had really good equipment to do this, because when I do it, the way I see it, I mean, yeah, you can do multiple programs, but you get one shot. And I want high quality stuff on this. I want to continue to build this up to where, you know, I can make revenue off this and actually, you know, long term do something with it as well, to provide more and more where it's not just a little bit of a side hustle or gig as it goes in. So hopefully the new camera, I get some really good action shots of the girls. I want to start trying to maybe do a little bit on the video side of stuff and really bump up the production quality of this. There's a lot of sports where there's people who go out to different games and different stuff and record. They're growing the sport. Like football's really, really big with people doing this, kind of vlogging into it. I would love to do it with volleyball, especially youth volleyball. I was even joking around and said we could start like a mini team documentary, or kind of one. I don't want to say like, for instance, I don't know, not like no Real Housewives or like, what was it, Dance Moms a few years ago, whatever that is. But like something, you know, something cool we could do with some like youth volleyball or something. I even said, I'll be the villain in the whole thing. We can play the part and whatever else and really turn this into something cool in the area. But I would love to be able to provide higher quality content. I know I said it's coming each week, but multiple pieces have been bought. Now I just got to figure out the camera stuff. If you are a very camera savvy person, not just photos, but video, please reach out to me, because I would love to get your input on stuff, because I'm trying to learn from people who have done it before. I really want to provide something cool for these girls as they look back on these previous seasons, that they have some cool shots of both photography but video, and see how far they've come and what they've built up. So many times, you know, when athletes get out of the sport, they reminisce and they look back on this. I want to provide this entire library for the athletes who stick with us. Whether you do or not, or don't, you can come back to it and look later on and that it's there. So that's the goal. There's going to be a lot of really, really good stuff coming up. I promise, follow along. Eventually, my page is going to have more than just volleyball, which I know for you volleyball people, just bear with me. I got to. There's a big audience on there. I got to do a little bit of both, because all the people that initially follow me for fitness, they don't get fitness anything anymore. It's all volleyball on their side. I also realize content is king when it comes to building this up. I've got to release content. The goal is at least one volleyball thing a day, if not more. The higher quality stuff, and there's a lot of times I get a ton of pictures, but it's all blurry and I don't want to put those out. I'll try to send them to the families, so you have them, and y'all get pictures too. But content is king, and so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. And again, it's just transcends more than just volleyball. You know, again, there's the fitness side of stuff. There's injury prevention that I want to build up in there, and ultimately, I just want people feeling better. I want athletes feeling better. I want average Joes feeling better, and there's a lot of good stuff coming. So please continue to follow along with me on that one as I finish that one out. Last little thing I want to post or talk about a post that I put up because I thought it was good. Maybe in a good or bad way. So on the account yesterday, I put up, there was a couple comments from people from a previous post with a coach. Now, this was just a coach's Instagram or Facebook. I think it was Facebook. It's all connected. That came up when I was watching it, where a coach basically really argued with refs and tried to make an example out of the referees for bad calls. And it happens. almost every single post you see, and it can be about anything, there's always going to be negative people on it. Now, my thing wasn't to be negative. It was, she's calling out the referees, and I just talked about referee stuff, but I didn't freak out about it and make a big deal. Like, if we leave a game up to the refs and the refs decide it, that's our fault for not winning by enough points or doing whatever. And I get as they get older, the games are going to be tighter. You still need to do your job on the court. The girls do. I still need to do my job as the coach. The refs have to do their job too, but humans make errors. Things happen. They're not actively trying to cheat us and screw us over. It's not happening that way. But I commented on that and just told the coach, basically, same thing I said, don't leave it up to the refs, move on. Hundreds of likes on there, but you always have the people who are gonna get on, who've never done anything, who are reliving their glory years through their kids and whatever else. Oh boy, man, I tell you, with a keyboard in their hand, people have gotten very, very brave with the things that they say. Now, they're only saying them. Their actions and other stuff definitely are not of that caliber. But you're going to have people like, oh, what was it? I'm glad you're not my kids' coach, and you're not a coach with that mentality and blah, blah, blah. And there was quite a few. And half of them, they become so stupid with people. There's a little secondary thing. There is no real point to argue with people on the internet. Now, can you have your words? Can you say stuff? Sure. And I'm sure a lot of you know this. The easiest way to look like you lose an argument is when you personally start attacking somebody. Now, if you're responding to something and turning it back against them, sometimes it can be funny. But majority of those posts were just attacking me. I wasn't attacking the coach initially and the whole thing. I was just saying, it's like, listen, you're trying to get notoriety and basically downplay the refs. You're not helping the sport. You make it sound like the people who referee these games are idiots. And I didn't say it like that, but that's what a lot of these posts are about. And you're not helping more people. They're already struggling to get referees as it is for almost every sport. Then you have these parents who try to threaten them and this other stuff. They're not doing a lot of this for the money, because the money's not that great, especially at youth levels. They love the sport. They want to see it grow. They want to help out the kids in the community. And by people going on bashing referees and other people, and that's not just refs. I mean, that's just most things. You're not helping yourself in that thing. But sure as heck, there's plenty of people on there telling me I'm a bad coach or I don't know what I'm doing, and that's totally fine. I'm glad your kid is not on my team, because I wouldn't want them on my team anyway. But it wasn't to get sympathy. So for all the parents that commented on there, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. It was not to get anything for me. It's to say we pick what we choose to do with what people say. It will always light a fire under me. Just like I mentioned the previous one, the way that other team reacted, I hope it lit a fire in Alina to be like, to when we go against them again, she's coming out hard. And that's what I do it for all the idiots on the internet who, and again, I get it, it's not high level volleyball, doesn't matter. You as a parent care about your child. As a parent, I care about my kids. I care about helping your kids get better, not just on the court, but in life. And so it is important to me. At the grand scheme, it's Parks and Rec youth volleyball here in small West Virginia, but there's more to it. There's a lot of life lessons, and there's showing that there are positive role models and people to influence these kids. So it does matter a little bit more than what you're just seeing on the court, but I use it to post and just say, we pick how we choose to handle these things. Are you using it? I said the mental Rolodex, David Goggins, if you don't know who that is, he's incredible when it comes to stuff, former Navy SEAL, a lot of really, really good motivational stuff, a lot of profanity. So I'm just gonna warn you, don't just type in David Goggins stuff if the kids are around, because they're gonna hear a lot of stuff. Not that they don't already hear it, but it's just not very kid friendly. But you wanna light a fire under your butt, whether you're getting ready for work or coaching volleyball or doing something like that, a lot of those speeches can do it for you. And so I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, and I just kind of felt like it was needed. I've been saving that one for a really, really long time. And winning that championship, it's a little bit of validation, because I know I'm doing this the right way, and I'm doing it for the right reasons, which ultimately matters to me. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. I just wanted to put that out there because I did think it was interesting, and believe me, I save it. You say it, and I know it, I save it. And I don't have to verbally get into battles about it. I know, and again, I know what we do on the court, which, and what the kids do in their lives that ultimately are the big deal. So I did want to address that a little bit and kind of put that one out there. But don't feel sorry for Coach. All right. While I do appreciate all of you, I'm going to continue doing what I'm going to do, regardless how many people out there feel like they need to give me their 2 cents or whatever about it. If you live your life always worried about what others think, you're going to have a miserable life and you ain't really living in the first place anyway. So I wanted to hit that one really quick on that and kind of bring that up on the Facebook. So for all you who commented, thank you. I appreciate that. I just did kind of think it was funny because also the other night, the Thursday night practice, one of the girls, she goes, Coach, can I tell you something? And I said, yeah. She goes, I have a friend on this other team, and I'm not going to say what it is. She goes, they think you're really mean. And, and I just kind of laughed. You know, and in your head, you decide how you want to respond to it. And I was like, oh, just, you know, if you know me, I have a sarcastic personality, but the tone is what matters. I try to give it the tone so people understand where I'm coming from on it. And, you know, she said, and she's like, yeah, their coach thinks you're mean and the players think you're mean. It was kind of about the coach. I was a little hurt there. You know, I thought we were all right. And so, and I kind of laughed. Now, again, kids can say whatever. And I go, you know, to be honest with you, I am mean. And I said, and I'm sure every team feels like we're mean because we beat every team. And I just kind of laugh and I just said, no, I'm just joking. But it is true. The more successful you are, the more haters you're going to have. And she goes, well, I don't think you're mean at all. And I said, well, I appreciate that. Then I told her to go run. But again, all fun, jokes aside or whatever, I appreciate that because ultimately, it's about what the parents on my team think. It's about what my kids think, not just of their dad as a coach, but their dad as a man. It's about what those athletes and what they trust me to. Listen, as long as those kids have my back, the parents have my back, I know I'm doing it for the right reasons. That's what it's about. The other people in the league, whether they like me or not, is whatever. I would prefer they do because, again, I like to be classy. I like to be like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's lonely at the top, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm just kidding. I don't mean it to be like that. But again, I wanted to have fun with her and just, and she got it. She just got it. It was a joke. But ultimately, I don't want it to be like, you know, people think that we're that serious about that or cocky. It's not. I want the girls to strive to achieve more and achieve great things. So I'm going to push them for that. But I'm like that in everything. Whether you're working with me to get better at volleyball or you're trying to improve your health through exercise and fitness, I want people to achieve great things. So that's why I do what I do. That's what motivates me. I believe the Lord called me to serve and help others. And that's what I try to do and add a little bit of humor because I believe it makes me feel a little bit more genuine. It's really easy to come off like a used car salesman or just yell at people all the time. I don't want to be like that. Okay. At the end of the day, I like to have fun. I like to have a good time and teach a lesson and do what I can. So just kind of want to throw that out there. Please don't take that last part too serious. I hope you didn't turn it off after I said the lonely at the top thing. Again, just a joke. Hopefully we will get to the top coming up this week in a couple important games. Continue doing what we're doing. Come back for those live feeds on Wednesday night, 5:30 for the minis and 7 o'clock for the juniors. If you need anything, reach out. It is Shed Blood Week. It is purple and red. Again, follow along. Reach out if you need me. We will see y'all this week. Thank you.